Has God ever nagged you? Not like our wives, our husbands, our partners, or even our parents nag. Not like taking out the garbage or doing the dishes or getting homework done. Not that kind of nagging. But that feeling that there is something being said we're missing. I had the blessing to go to seminary with many people who were in their 50s, 60s, and even 70s. And they shared that they had felt God's calling early in their lives. But for a variety of reasons, they had not been able to respond to God's call till that point in their lives. Many of them set out after graduation to be pastors of churches after long and meaningful careers in other settings. God had nagged them. My own mother went to seminary to become a pastor after both myself and my younger brother were setting out on our own journeys and leaving home. God had been nagging at her. I do think that God nags at us. And sometimes we find ourselves in just the right moment to respond. And in other times we feel unable or trapped. Or it's not that we're unable, we just don't always hear God's hope for our life. God is always there, though, reminding us, telling us that yes, there is more, and the opportunity goes on. I think that's exactly what was going on with the young man in today's gospel reading. He had that feeling. He had indeed lived a faithful life. He had kept to the laws, and yet he seemed to have some sense that God was seeking more of him. And so he seeks out Jesus and asks what he can do to be sure, to be absolutely sure that he is living within God's favor. Jesus' answer is the standard prescription: obey the law. But the man shares that he wants more. He wants there to be no question that he is living a faithful life, and that the life to come after this one will be equally filled with God's grace. Jesus asked the man to give up the one thing he seems unable to let go of: his wealth. Now, many of Jesus' parables are kind of a go and do likewise story. And though there is nothing wrong that if any of us want to sell everything we own and live a life of service and poverty, that's fine. But for most of us, for me, that kind of notion or thinking is a bit unsettled, a bit worrisome, troublesome. Once upon a time, many years ago, there was a young couple, and they got married, and they had absolutely nothing. Their house was bare and meek, and they had few possessions. They found at a garage sale down the street an antique dresser drawer, chest of drawers, and they bought it, and they brought it home, and they began to fix it up in the garage. They spent lots of hours together, laughing and joking and doing the work of restoring the cabinet. They enjoyed their time together immensely. The week after they finished the project and put it in its room, they got notice that the man's aunt had died. And at the reading of the will, they learned that they had inherited millions of dollars. So they began to argue about how the money should be used and what they ought to do with it. They went to their pastor and they explained their dilemma. And the pastor said to them, "You must give the money away." Well, of course, this was troubling, and they went home and they prayed about it and they talked about it and they agreed. And they came up with a long list of charities and organizations that they wanted to support. They went back to see the pastor to get his opinion of their plan. And then when they shared their plan with the pastor, he said, "Well, now you have to keep it." Well, of course they were confused. One week he's saying, "You have to give it away." And the next week he's saying, "You have to hold on to it." And the pastor explained that the important lesson was learning that it wasn't really theirs, that it was their job to care for it, and that if they could be good stewards of the money, it could go further and support more programs than their list could imagine. And now that they realized that the money was not theirs, they could do just that. The laws of our faith are a gift, a set of guideposts when we're not sure of the way. Jesus' response isn't quoting a law or making a mandate of the man. Jesus' response is opening the next door, the next stage, the next step of this man's journey of faith. Jesus is showing the man how to step closer to God. For some people, today's lesson might actually be about money. But it's also about all those things that hold us back from opening that next door, from taking that next step, to having an even closer relationship with our Creator. It might be our own fear, our own self-worth, our own beliefs. It might be the privileges that our gender or skin color give us. There's an endless list of things and ideas in our life that hold us back, things that help us hold on to fear and reservations. But living a good life, a faithful life, is enough. It's exactly what Jesus prescribes. We need not go any further. A life of faith is enough. But that's the dilemma. The closer our relationship is to the divine, the more we become aware that there is more light yet to be revealed, more good deeds that can be done, more good news that can be shared. Our own joy can be shared with others. If you feel that nagging feeling, if you wonder what else you can do to better the work of God's kingdom, then we know that Jesus stands ready to open that door, to guide our feet on that unknown journey. The man in the gospel seems in his heart to know that Jesus is right. That makes him sad. He's grieving as he walks back to what he has already found unsatisfying. But there is the joy and the pain of the whole lesson. It's this crucial line just after the man tells Jesus that he has indeed lived a faithful life. Jesus, and here's the line, Jesus looks at him and loves him. And Christ does the same today when we turn to ask our own questions. Love is a way of seeing, and those who love us best see us best. So Jesus sees this man truly as he is. But in a way, the young man is not yet capable of seeing himself. Perhaps in the days that followed, the rich man rethought what was asked of him, just as we might rethink our own lives. But because of God's love, that door stands open to us whenever we find ourselves ready to walk through it. When we ask Christ, what might we do? And then God answers us. The question is before us. Will we walk through the doorway? Will we reach out for Christ's hand to guide us? Will we respond in joy? Or will we walk away grieving? Amen. Our hymn is number 271 in our red hymnal.
271.
Yes, 271.